Imagine being handcuffed on the side of the road, accused of a crime you didn't commit, just because of the color of your skin. 17-year-old Jamal Rivers wasn't trespassing. He wasn't stealing. He wasn't causing trouble. He was just walking home from basketball practice, still in his gym clothes, headphones around his neck, and his backpack slung loosely over one shoulder. But that didn't matter to Officer Daniels, a cop notorious in Crestwood for targeting kids who looked like Jamal. To support this channel, kindly like and hit the subscribe button for more thrilling content. Within minutes, Jamal's night would spiral into humiliation. And what Daniels didn't know, the mistake that would come to define him, was that the boy he was treating like a criminal was the son of Crestwood's brand new police chief. The fallout would shatter the department, expose years of prejudice, and force the entire town to confront truths it had long ignored. Jamal Rivers was 17, a bright-eyed senior with a wide smile and a smooth crossover that made him a star point guard on the Crestwood High basketball team. He dreamed of earning a scholarship, of escaping the quiet boundaries of Crestwood, and of proving to his parents that all their sacrifices mattered. His father, Darnell Rivers, had only recently moved the family back into town after being sworn in as Crestwood's first black police chief. To Jamal's friends, he was more than just a good athlete. He was dependable, the kind of kid you could call at 2 a.m. if you were stranded. To his little sister Maya, he was a hero, the one who walked her home from school and kept the bullies at bay. His mother, Patrice, often reminded him that he carried a whole family's dreams on his shoulders. But in Crestwood, Jamal knew there were places where his smile and charm didn't matter. He knew which neighborhoods made people clutch their purses tighter, which corners made shopkeepers glance twice, and which streets came with unspoken warnings. That awareness was the reality he carried with him every day. Crestwood wasn't a big town, but in small towns, reputations stick. Officer Mark Daniels had been on the force for more than a decade, and his reputation was clear. He was the kind of cop who used his badge like a weapon, not a shield. Black parents in Crestwood warned their sons, "Don't give Daniels a reason. Keep your hands where he can see them. Say yes, sir, and no, sir. Don't talk back." Daniels had a string of complaints filed against him. Unnecessary stops, aggressive behavior, racial profiling, but nothing ever seemed to stick. He was protected by the brotherhood of silence in the department. And to the city council, he was just another hard-working cop keeping the streets safe. So when Daniels saw Jamal walking down Maplewood Drive one hot August evening, sweat shining on his skin, backpack slung low, suspicion twisted instantly into prejudice. "Hey, you there. Stop," Daniels barked, stepping out of his cruiser, one hand resting on his holster. Jamal froze, earbuds still humming faintly. He turned slowly, confusion etched across his face. "Sir, I'm just walking home." Daniels sneered. "This is private property. You're trespassing." Jamal blinked, stunned. Maplewood wasn't private. It was a public street lined with half-finished houses, part of a new development project. He tried to explain, voice trembling but steady. "I live 2 blocks over. I'm just cutting through." But Daniels wasn't listening. Within minutes, Jamal's wrists were yanked behind his back, the metallic snap of handcuffs slicing through the humid night. The teenager's chest tightened as porch lights flicked on and blinds shifted. Neighbors peeked out, watching him like a criminal parade. Embarrassment burned through Jamal, hot and relentless. His stomach churned with fear. He wanted to scream, to demand fairness, but his father's words echoed in his mind. "Stay calm. Don't resist. Survive the moment." Daniels shoved Jamal into the back of his cruiser, scribbling "trespassing" onto the incident report with a smug satisfaction. To him, this was just another night's work. Another thug put in his place. What he didn't know, what would unravel everything, was Jamal's last name. By the time Patrice Rivers got the call, her son was already booked and processed. She rushed to the station, her voice shaking with rage as she demanded answers. "My son was walking home. Walking home. How is that trespassing?" The desk sergeant avoided her eyes. "Ma'am," Officer Daniels filed the report. "If you have a problem, you'll need to take it up with." "With who?" she snapped. "The chief." The room fell silent, because the chief was her husband. When Darnell Rivers arrived at the station minutes later, the air thickened. He strode through the lobby in his uniform, his face like thunder. Officers scrambled to stand straighter. Daniels, leaning casually near the booking desk, smirked until his eyes landed on Jamal being escorted out of the holding cell. The resemblance was unmistakable. "Dad!" Jamal's voice cracked with relief and humiliation. Daniel's smirk collapsed. The station grew eerily quiet as Chief Rivers' voice cut through the room. "Officer Daniels, in my office, now." Inside, the confrontation exploded. "You handcuffed a 17-year-old for walking home?" Chief Rivers' voice shook with controlled fury. "You arrested my son on a false charge?" Daniels stammered, defensive arrogance bubbling up. "Chief, I didn't know he was your kid. He was on Maplewood. That's a private development. Looked suspicious. I was just doing my job." "Your job?" Rivers' eyes blazed. "Your job is to serve and protect, not to harass children, not to humiliate them in their own neighborhoods, and certainly not to drag my son into this department on a bogus trespassing charge." Daniel's face flushed. "With all due respect, Chief, if he hadn't been your son, this wouldn't even be a conversation." That was the final straw. Chief Rivers leaned in, his voice low and razor-sharp. "That's exactly the problem. This isn't about my son. This is about every kid you've treated like a criminal, every family you've terrorized because of your prejudice. And I promise you, those days end now." News spread quickly. By morning, the arrest was on social media. Parents shared stories of their own kids being stopped by Daniels for no reason. Old complaints resurfaced, painting a damning picture of a man who had operated unchecked for years. For the first time, Crestwood had a police chief who refused to look the other way. Rivers launched an internal investigation, bringing in outside oversight to ensure transparency. Daniels was placed on leave, his badge and gun stripped away as cameras flashed outside the department. Jamal, meanwhile, struggled with the emotional fallout. His friends rallied around him, but the memory of cold handcuffs and watching neighbors stare lingered. His mother held him close at night, whispering prayers and promises that he was not defined by one man's hatred. But Jamal wasn't just angry, he was determined. He began speaking out at school assemblies, sharing what had happened, urging his classmates to record interactions, to know their rights, to never let silence be their only defense. The town boiled. Some residents demanded Daniels be reinstated, arguing he was just doing his job. But others, louder now, demanded justice. Protests filled Crestwood's main square, signs reading "Walking home is not a crime" and "Accountability for all." Chief Rivers didn't hide. He addressed the crowds directly. "This department will not protect prejudice. We will not shield officers who misuse their power. Justice is not selective. It belongs to everyone." It was a turning point. For the first time in Crestwood's history, the community felt the weight of their voices press against a system that had silenced them for too long. Daniels was fired. The investigation uncovered a pattern too damaging to ignore: racially motivated stops, false charges, intimidation. He left the department in disgrace, his name now a cautionary tale. Jamal never forgot that night, but instead of breaking him, it fueled him. He carried it into every game on the basketball court, every classroom discussion, every conversation with kids younger than him. He became a voice, unwilling to be silenced. And Chief Rivers? He kept his promise. The department changed under his watch. Training programs, community meetings, and accountability boards reshaped Crestwood policing. It wasn't perfect, not overnight, but it was progress. In the end, the story of Jamal and Officer Daniels wasn't just about one arrest. It was about a community forced to confront its reflection, about a father's fight for justice, about a teenager who refused to let humiliation define him. Because sometimes it takes one spark, one injustice laid bare, to set a town on fire with the demand for change. And in Crestwood, that spark came the night a racist cop arrested the wrong kid. Thanks for watching.